The Mojave sun hammered the earth without mercy as Daniel rode the fence line, Scout, his blue heeler, trotting faithfully beside him, tongue hanging loose in the dry heat. They had been out since before sunrise, mending breaks in the barbed wire that kept the cattle from drifting into the Badlands. Honest work. Lonely work. The kind that gives a man too much time inside his own head. And here is the thing about silence: it doesn't empty the mind. It fills it. He tried not to think about the letter folded in his saddlebag. 3 months ago, desperate for something more than wind and cattle and endless flat horizon, he had answered an advertisement for a mail-order bride. Her name was Clara Whitfield, from Portland. Their letters had started carefully practical, polite, but somewhere between the second and the 8th letter, something shifted. She wrote about missing the smell of rain on pine trees. He wrote back about the way the desert bloomed after a rare summer storm. Their letters became the most honest conversations of his life, and he had never once met her face to face. That is the strange truth about written words: they strip away the performance. They let people meet each other in the places they are most afraid to show. 2 weeks ago, she had written that she was coming, that she would arrive on the afternoon stage in the town of Harlan. That was 14 days ago. She never appeared. Scout suddenly stopped mid-trot, ears snapping forward, a low whine rising in his throat. Then he bolted, not chasing, but racing with that locked, purposeful urgency that only meant one thing. Daniel spurred his horse forward, pulse spiking. Scout only moved like that for trouble. He found the dog 50 yards ahead, pawing frantically at something half hidden in the dust beside an overturned wagon. A woman lay motionless, her traveling dress torn and bleached by the sun. The wagon's wheel was shattered, her belongings scattered across the sand, already disappearing under wind-blown grit. Daniel threw himself from the saddle and dropped beside her. His hands were shaking as he turned her face toward him. Dried blood darkened her temple. Her lips were cracked and split. But even through the dust and damage, he recognized her. He had memorized that photograph. Clara. He breathed. Her eyelids fluttered. Water, she whispered. He brought the canteen to her lips. She drank in slow, shallow sips. Scout pressed close, licking her hand with quiet gentleness. "Easy," Daniel said. "I've got you. You're safe." Her eyes found his face slowly. "The stage," she managed. "There was an accident. The driver didn't make it. I tried to walk, but," her voice broke. "How long have you been out here?" "Days. I lost count." Daniel's jaw tightened. The stage road was 10 miles east. She had been lying in the open desert sun, fighting to stay alive, while he sat back at the ranch nursing wounded pride. He had assumed she changed her mind. That a woman from Portland had quietly walked away from the idea of West Texas. He never once considered riding out to search. He told himself it was dignity. In truth, it was fear, the same fear that keeps most people from reaching toward the things they actually want. Guilt hit him like cold water. He lifted her carefully, startled by how light she was, how heat radiated off her skin. "I'm taking you home," he said. It came out sounding like a vow. She drifted in and out on the ride back, her head against his chest. Daniel talked the whole way low and steady about the ranch, the cattle, the way the stars looked out here at night. Scout ran alongside them without straying. For 3 days and 3 nights, Daniel did not leave her side. He cleaned her wounds, forced water and broth past her lips every hour, pressed cool cloths to her burning forehead. He talked to her, constantly read aloud from authors she had mentioned in her letters, told her things he had never said to another living person. Scout never moved from her bedside. The dog understood something Daniel was still learning, that showing up, staying present, is its own kind of language. On the 4th morning, Clara's eyes opened clear. She found Daniel slumped in the chair beside her, unshaven and gray with exhaustion, Scout's chin resting on his knee. "You stayed," she said softly. He was at her side before the words finished. "Of course I stayed. Where else would I be? You don't know me. We've only written letters. I'm a stranger." He took her hand. "You're not a stranger. You're the woman who wrote about being afraid of becoming someone small and safe, about wanting children who could grow up knowing the size of the sky. His voice dropped. You're the woman who crossed 1,000 miles on the strength of a few letters and a belief that something real was waiting. I just hadn't met you yet. He paused. I failed you, Clara. When you didn't arrive, I should have ridden out. Instead, I assumed the worst. I told myself it was patience. It was fear. You couldn't have known, she said quietly. I should have trusted what we built. Those letters weren't nothing. I knew that. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I almost died out there thinking I'd never find out if the man in the letters was real. She looked at him steadily, and the edge of a smile crossed her cracked lips. He's better. You're better than I imagined. So are you, Daniel said. He meant it completely. She looked down at Scout, who raised his head and thumped his tail once. Your dog saved my life. He's always had better instincts than me about what matters. There is a lesson in that, quiet and plain. The things worth having almost always require you to move toward them before you feel ready. Fear disguises itself as patience, as dignity, as waiting for the right moment. But sometimes the right moment passed 10 days ago, and something you love is lying in the dust because you were too afraid to ride out and look. Courage is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to act in spite of it. Daniel and Clara married 1 month later in the small chapel in Harlan. She still wore a faint scar at her temple on the day. They never hid it. They told the story to their children the way other families told fairy tales, not to romanticize the hardship, but to pass down the truth inside it. That love sometimes finds you broken in the dust. That it asks to be tended before it is certain. That it is held together, not by luck or fate, but by the daily choice to stay. And sometimes a dog understands what a man has not yet learned, that what is worth saving is worth riding out for, even when you don't know what you'll find.